Goalkeeper Podcast. Took a bit of time off there for a few months. I just moved home from England, so hopefully now back into the thick of it, back at home, and we can sort of get this podcast up and going again and get a few episodes in the book before we go into 2025. So we're back again, as I say, and we have our guest today, Mr. Tony Blake. Thanks very much, Tony, for coming on. I know you're a busy man, so I really do appreciate it.
No, thank you, Sean, for asking me. I was delighted to be asked and everything, and I've been following some of your podcasts already, and they've been excellent. Now I find seeing what other goalkeepers have been through during their careers and everything, and where they are now at this stage. It's very good, and you know what? I think it's a great thing you're doing, especially for young goalkeepers.
Yeah, no, I really, really appreciate that, and that's why I got it. I suppose set up the podcast just to, as you say, help out anybody. I think hearing stories, especially around the local game, junior football, and giving that insight's really, really useful. So I do appreciate that. So I think I'll start off. Now I'll go into my connection with Tony. So I would have known Tony from my time at Letterkenny Rovers, but I don't know if Tony quite knows this. But 11 years ago, at the age of 15, I made my senior debut against Lagan Harps for Rafo Town, and Tony was in goal that day. So that's our initial connection. I'm not
That's
sure if you're aware of
yes.
that.
Hey, no, I wasn't aware of that at all. Now, Sean, I was not. But
Let's see how your memory is, Tony. You had a good game that day. Do you remember you had a big moment in that game? It was up at Rafo. Now I know it's 11 years ago.
yes, up in Deal College.
It was indeed, yeah.
Yes, I saved a penalty.
You did indeed.
Yes,
Good. Yeah,
I
there you
remember
go.
now.
There you go. Hi.
Hey, I'll tell
So
you one thing. I didn't save that many penalties. So listen,
no,
when you do save one, you do tend to remember them.
you never forget it. No, I do mind it well now, and I wouldn't have known much about you at that time. But I think someone referred to you that day as the Donegal League PEPE REINA. So that was kind of what stood out to me that day was I think it was for your distribution that they were making that comparison, nothing
Well,
else.
that's nice to hear. About now, Pepper in. If they had a set of Man United goalkeepers, it might have been a wee bit different. I would have
Uh,
appreciated it a wee bit more.
Maybe the Barthez one wasn't
Barges
wouldn't.
one, yes. I think with me losing the hair and everything at that stage and all, I would probably be looked a wee bit more like him.
But no, I do remember that one now well. So, listen, Tony, I suppose what I'd really like to start off with is now I was just having a wee look at your Wikipedia earlier. I'm not aware if you have, if you're aware that you do have a Wikipedia,
Right.
but I was just having a wee think. Now, you're a man of many clubs, not just in your playing career, but when it comes to the coaching side, I was thinking there today you were involved with Letterkenny Rovers, of course,
Yeah.
Dergview,
Yeah.
Science with Ladies.
Yes.
One I remember today you were involved with Newton GAA in a sort of player coach role for a while there.
That's right. Yes.
Um, you would have been involved with the Donegal ladies with the Gaelic as
I
well.
was. Yes. I was with Institute for a couple of years too.
Institute as well. So
Yes.
you've had quite a
As a
number of
coach.
clubs,
Mm.
and you've had to balance those clubs, a few clubs at once. So I suppose maybe just tell me a bit about that. Where does that love for coaching come from, and that passion, and how do you manage it all? That's what I'm really interested to find out.
I think the main thing was is when I was playing or when I was growing up and I was playing, you know, there was really no such thing as goalkeeping coaches. I think it was my last year when I was playing with Donegal that I had a goalkeeping coach and Gary Walsh came on, you know. But up until that, we didn't really, you didn't really have anything to get there. When I was at Sligo Rovers, Fun Harps, you know, even in a Derry at that time when I was there was no goalkeeping coaches. There was nothing. You do what the outfield players were doing and everything, and you might be throwing a couple of footballs this way, you go and do something and all. So I kind of thought to myself, when I finish playing, I says, I'm going to be there for any young goalkeepers coming up who want to improve their game, want to learn more about goalkeeping, basically, And I thought, listen, I'll do as much as I can whenever I can.
Yeah, and how have you? Is there any, I suppose there'd be some unique connections there, in terms of like Science Swift's ladies, for example. How did you get into that role?
Well, I was just at the time I was with the Donegal ladies at the time, and Niamh Mealy was goalkeeper for the Donegal ladies, but she was also keeping goals for Science Swifts.
Mm-hmm.
And Niamh happened to ask me one night would I be interested in coming in there, and I got a phone call then a couple of nights later then from Tony McGinley, who was manager at the time, and Tony asked me to come on board. Now I'm on to me, I think this is my fifth or sixth year with Science Swifts, and he asked me to come in and join in with them because they were playing in the Premiership in Northern Ireland, the highest level of ladies football in there. And I said, yes, of course I will, because I looked upon it too as, progressing my own coaching career, kind of another feather in the cap, something else to add to the CV. And as I said, Niamh's fantastic goalkeeper. I enjoyed working with her in the Donegal ladies, and then I got working with her in there. And I think then after I went in there and everything, he says, I think one of the biggest things for me was that they had signed Nicole McClure from America. She had come over to play, and she was a Jamaican international. So the best thing about that was that I got to work with her for 6 weeks before she went to the World Cup with Jamaica. So that was a really nice thing. That was a really nice thing, and I was constantly during that World Cup. She was constantly in contact with me, asking for a wee bit of advice and all, because she wasn't getting into the team, and she just wanted to know how to. There was things going on and kind of behind the scenes there, and she was just looking for advice as how does she handle them and everything. So I advised her the best I could from my own experience, my own playing experience, which I think is a big thing for goalkeeping coaches, that you pass on your own experience.
Yeah.
So no, that's how I got in there, and it's a fantastic club. Science Swifts are an unbelievable club, and they're promoting ladies football, and the young girls coming through, and they're just mad to play for their senior team and everything, and it's great having that progression for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It must have been a great privilege, as you said, to work with Nicole. And then in terms of just to touch upon the ladies game, how have you found that experience from coaching men to coaching ladies? Is it just chalk and cheese, or is it, there is no nuance, it's just very much the same across the board? Or what's your experience as a coach from that perspective?
Well, no, there is a difference, and the way that you approach it has to be, is a bit different too. Like if you go on now, say with your senior men's teams, or whatever like that, there you could go in, and sometimes you can go in and say whatever you want. Goalkeepers are thick-skinned; they'll take it on the chin and says, right, let's move on from it. It's different with the girls and everything, because a lot of them wouldn't have had all that much coaching and everything, and your approach to it, and basically how you come across and how you get your point across is different, and you've got there's just different ways of conducting yourself as a coach, but no, that's kind of the difference. Is just how you conduct yourself and how you give across the information and everything. You can really force, like in the men's game, it's just a bit different. In the men's game, you can be a wee bit more abrupt and that sort of thing, getting, and as you know yourself, but with the ladies game, you've just got to kind of, just, it's how you put your point across. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point you've raised, because I suppose automatically people will be thinking the physical differences, which, on the surface a little bit more obvious, but that mental side of the game is obviously probably, I know it's a bit cliche, but at least 80%, particularly with goalkeepers.
Yes.
And I think as a teacher myself, it is interesting how you approach that. And I've no experience now when it comes to coaching women's or ladies football, but obviously
Yeah.
from a teaching background, how you deliver the message
Exactly.
definitely changes. So I think that'll be interesting for the listeners to hear. And I'm sure that's made you a better coach then. I'm sure there's things you've learned from the ladies' game that you've brought back into the men's game then. Would it be
Oh,
fair in saying that?
definitely. And it's even from coaching the ladies and everything, and going down, then coming back then, and as I say, you get to the younger ones, you go back down to under 12s, under 10s, who I have on the Letterkenny Rovers every week. I take the junior goalkeepers for their own wee academy every week and everything, and it's just bringing things back to them, and and it's very similar at that stage, from you bringing the ladies game and how you conduct yourself and how you come across and how you get your point across and everything, coming back to them there,
Yeah.
because the further you or the higher you go up the coaching ladder with the teams, from under 12s up to men's and to semi-pro and everything, there's a lot less coaching the higher up the ladder you go, because as you have mentioned earlier, see the mental side of the game for goalkeepers at semi-pro level, see in the Irish League or the League of Ireland and everything, that's what you're concentrating on. Keeper goes out, has a bad day, says you're there the following day, the following night of training to pick up the pieces, get them right again, and get them, assure them, says, let's hold on, whatever happened, if something happened in the game that they weren't happy with or whatever, you kind of get across to them and says, listen, you made an error. Every keeper makes an error. Okay? It's how you come back from that, how you assess it, see what you could have done better, remember it, and move on.
Yeah.
It's the thing about it is with, it's when you rectify the problem, it's an error. If you keep making the same problem over again, it becomes a mistake.
Yes.
And it's getting the point across to them. It says, listen, just learn from it. Every keeper makes mistakes. It's the nature of the beast of the position where we play, that if you make a mistake, it's nearly always in the back of the net. There's a striker, you look at a striker could miss 5 opportunities up front, and they'll say, oh, hard luck, don't worry about that there, you'll get the next one, that sort of thing. But the coaches and managers would say, that he's not a bad, he's still a good striker. You come back to the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper, say, drops 5 crosses, recovers them, but still drops them. They kind of think, oh, that boy's not good. He has a problem there with that and everything. So that's the differences with playing in goals and playing up front or playing out the field. And everybody says, you make a mistake out the field, somebody is always there to cover for you. You make a mistake in goals, there's not too many boys there to cover for you.
Exactly. There's no hiding place.
There's no hiding places, but it's differentiating between errors and mistakes. That's one of the first things I tell the young goalkeepers, and everybody says, if you drop one and you learn from it, it's an error. If you keep making the same mistake over and over again, or the same error over and over again, it turns into a mistake, which is totally different, and something else then has to be done.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic advice for anyone that is listening. I suppose that's a big anxiety most goalkeepers will go through at some stage, some more than others, that making a mistake. And as you say, I think that's a great way to put it. Sort of differentiate between an error and a mistake is really important. And also, I think some good advice that always stood out to me that I got was, if you are going to make a mistake doing the right thing, doing positive things, coming for a cross, having that bravery. If you drop it, you drop it, but it's better than hiding and maybe, you know what I mean? So I think that's important for any listeners or any young goalkeepers. I think Tony's, shared some real wisdom there, which is important. So, It's interesting there now in terms of differentiating, and you're involved in all levels of goalkeeping. Have you seen, Tony, a change? I suppose myself and you and I would have worked together probably guts of 7, 8 years ago, anyways.
Yes.
And goalkeeping's changed, obviously, from a technical aspect. The game's changed, but have you seen, mentally a change in goalkeepers? I think we always talk about that, the technical side of it changing, but has there been a change mentally? Meaning, maybe goalkeepers when yourself, or even when I was, coming up, you could be a little bit more abrupt. You could, say it how it is. Do you think maybe the type of goalkeepers, is there more resilience now, or are the goalkeepers less resilient? Is there more sensitivity in regards to what you're seeing? Or what's sort of your perspective on that one?
I think goalkeepers nowadays are becoming more resilient because they're becoming braver out on the pitch, because the way the game has come along and everything, and the way it's transformed is goalkeepers play now or have the ball at their feet more times than have the ball in their hands.
Yes.
It's very, very important coming out, and even that's in both codes. That's in Gaelic and soccer and everything. So I think because they are more resilient, they're braver coming out, being confident with the ball at their feet and everything, and it's something that's the modern day goalkeepers. That's just something that has happened and everything, and that's why I'm always adamant that when I have goalkeepers at a session and everything, says if the outfield players are doing possession drills or passing drills, I get the goalkeepers into them.
Yeah.
Because when they're under that wee bit of pressure and there, when it's done, when it's done at a high tempo and everything, says it only benefits them when they're coming into matches. We can work on it ourselves, work on it, probably just a longer range of pass and that sort of thing. We can work on that ourselves and everything, but you need to have the high tempo along with the outfield players just to get confidence with the ball at your feet and moving it and adjusting your position, because a lot of the things that I have to teach the young keepers now is once you take a goal kick or something like that there, your job's not finished. The ball goes out to the centre half go out to the full back. You've got to adjust your position inside the box, and in case that full back gets on the baller with the ball and he has to come back, and we've got to recycle it and go around the other way. So it's getting them into that kind of mindset that you've got to, your job's not finished once you take a goal kick or clear the ball or anything like that there, and you've always have to be thinking about your positional sense, where you are, your starting position and all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think, going back to your point there again, I think because of the way the game has come on, and the goalkeepers are basically like sweepers now.
Yeah.
They have to be more resilient. They have to be braver in their starting positions and braver. When I'm saying about being brave, it's not diving at people's feet, but it's being brave where you are in the goals, that if the ball breaks down and they get a shot away, that you're in a good position where you're confident to make the save.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And, we will touch upon your career in a moment, but I suppose...
I don't know if I can remember that far back.
I'm sure we'll get the memory jog in there now. But I suppose it's from my perspective now. Listen, I'm sure you have no regrets over your career, or very few, anyways, and you really enjoyed your career. But is there? Because we will go into it. You were a very handy outfield player as well. As is there any envy from your perspective when you do see the game today and think, I was playing maybe 10 years too early, or 20 years, you know what I'm saying? Like, is there any envy in your point of view to see how the game, or, you're happy enough with how the game was at your time, or what's your perspective there?
Yeah. Do you know what? Looking back at it, I don't really have that many regrets or anything like that there. I had, as far as I was concerned, I had a great career. I had, I played senior football outfield. I played senior football in goals. I played international for the Republic. I played interleague for Northern Ireland. I played for both sides, and I've no real regrets, but I think the one thing that does annoy me that I go back to the coaching side of things, about the designated goalkeeping coaches. I think
Yeah.
I would have been a far better goalkeeper, you know, if I had had kind of the one-to-one coaching that is available now at the minute to the
Yeah.
goalkeepers and everything. Like my last year with Donegal, as I mentioned earlier on, Gary Walsh came on as goalkeeping coach that year. That was the year we got to the All-Ireland semi-final against Armagh in 2003. And as far as I'm concerned, that was my best year playing for Donegal. You
Yeah.
know, because I had him there. You know,
Yeah.
I had him there with, you know what, it was specialised training and everything. I had somebody to bounce things off, you know, who had been there, you know.
Yeah.
As I've said all along that, you know, goalkeeping coaches, it's great that these people are going and they're going getting their D licenses and C licenses and B licenses and goalkeeping and everything. And it's brilliant that you can pass that on and you can coach young goalkeepers and perfect their technique and everything. But one of the biggest things I feel is if you have had the experience to pass on, how to pick up as I said earlier, how to pick up the pieces when something goes wrong. I have been in that position so many times, you know, where I've made mistakes. I made mistakes in big games, you know, and not having somebody there to talk it over with and bounce it off and get me head right again to come back the next day was, you know, was a bit disappointing at the time, you know, because what happened then too is, you know what, you would have made errors and mistakes in matches and every season. You would have been ridiculed in the press,
Yeah.
the local press and all, and sometimes that was hard to take. That was really hard to take, you know, when you were on your own to try and pick up the pieces was really, really tough and everything, you know. And it's just that's probably the biggest thing, you know, that not exactly annoys me. It's just a big regret that I didn't have somebody there to, you know, bounce it off and help me get myself started again to go out the next day again. You know?
No, I think that's a really good insight as well. And I know from my own perspective, working with you, Tony, you know, I would have been lucky. I suppose I would have had formal coaching in regards to the technical side of it from, I don't know, 10 years of age anyways, and getting the weekly sessions, going to goalkeeping schools, which, you know, does go a long way and certainly developed me from that technical aspect. But I think where I seen the real progress in my own goalkeeping was when I started working with you, just because, you know, you were at a lot of my games, we were in training together, of course.
Yeah.
You know, you were having a word with me before the game, at half time, after the game. And I think, you know, that sort of hands-on, that goes a long, long way. As you say, you've been there, you have the T-shirt. But, you know, what the difference it made from, you know, having those sessions on a weekly basis with whoever it was at the time, it's fine, but you're not really getting the insight that you were getting. And the feedback, I think the feedback was the most beneficial for myself. You know, and you were seeing things that maybe I wasn't able to recognize just because of my age, and, you know, I'm still learning the game. And, you know, someone to turn to, as you say, it can be a very lonely, isolating experience.
It is, yeah.
You know, especially, you know.
It's a real lonely position to be in.
Absolutely.
You know, it is really, really lonely and everything. Is just because, you know, people have asked me, says, listen, it says, if you have two goalkeepers coming in and it says one has a great attitude and one has a great technique, I says, which one would you pick? I says, I'll pick the one with the attitude.
Yeah.
To be fair, Sean, you had that there. You had the right attitude coming in because you were eager to learn. Because technique can always be taught.
Oh, yeah.
You know, technique can always be taught, but you need the right attitude. The keeper has to have the right attitude in order to learn, to progress, and to be the best keeper that they can be.
Yeah.
You know?
No, absolutely. And I think for anyone listening there, you know, listen, we're always encouraging people to get involved in grassroots football. But I think, you know, it's one thing to be running a goalkeeper school, but really get in the clubs, get to the games, warming up the keepers for a game, having that word half time, it goes a long way. And I think, you know, as you said, like that's something that's really, really valuable to young goalkeepers coming up, and I definitely try and encourage anyone that is, pass on that experience. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say for anyone
Definitely,
listening there.
definitely. Oh,
It is,
there's just not enough of us about. There's
yeah,
not enough of us about. That's the
yeah,
thing, As I was saying about the time with myself and everything, he says like I'm out of the house every night of the week, and I could be
yeah,
somewhere different and everything. I could be doing one-on-ones with keepers and everything. I could be, just with the Rovers for a night. I'd be in Science Swifts a different night. I work with the FEA Emerging Talent as well another night, and
yeah.
it's just. But do you know what? Because as I says, I missed out on all this. I
Hmm.
didn't have all this, and I'm here now, and I'm in the position. I'm in the great position that I have the experience and the qualification, the coaching qualifications to pass on. I says I'll never refuse anybody. When they
Yeah.
call up and ask me, listen, could you come in and help a wee keeper here? He's got good
Hmm.
potential and everything. He says a good attitude, just a bit rough around the edges. And
Yeah.
and I just see when I hear rough around the edges, I think this is
Yeah.
brilliant. I says that makes
Yeah.
my job a whole lot easier.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah,
you
and
know.
as you say, like then when you start to move up the levels, it's just about refinement. Then, isn't it? Like
Exactly.
because
That's
the
just it.
fundamentals are there, but it's just
Exactly.
about those nuances.
I got a phone call last Christmas from a lady in Derry about her son, and he was with Derry. He was with Derry 17s and 19s, and he was getting coached in there and everything. I'm not saying anything about the coaching and in Derry and everything, but she wanted a wee bit of one-on-one with him.
Hmm.
So I says, yes, that's perfect. Says, listen, sure, if you can come out to Letterkenny. So every Sunday morning, 8:30, out in Letterkenny for an hour, myself and this young fella worked. And we highlighted points that needed to be cleaned up a wee bit. We worked hard. We done a wee bit of fitness as well. We just kind of just done a wee bit of everything
Hmm.
to get him right or whatever and all that there. And I went to games and analysed his games for him too. And the good thing about it, that was our first session was last first Sunday in January and everything. There in August, he signed for Portsmouth,
Yeah,
2 years
that's right.
scholarship with Portsmouth, Colin McDermott.
Yeah.
You know, so when things like that happen, when
Mm.
you've worked with him, and he gets that opportunity, it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
When you see how you've helped somebody and he's got that chance now, the chance of a lifetime, I says it just makes it all worthwhile. You know.
Yeah. Unbelievably
Mm.
rewarding, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh,
No.
so rewarding, so rewarding.
Yeah, no, no, fair play now. So listen, we touched upon a little bit there. You spoke about playing senior football as a goalkeeper, as an outfielder. I suppose for listeners, I have a little bit of an insight, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'd be really interested because I think I only know the surface level of your career. You would have started as an outfielder in
Yes,
soccer.
yes.
But did you start off playing in goals in Gaelic first before soccer, or would I be wrong in that? Or how?
No,
What's the Tony Blair now?
I was always a corner forward in Gaelic.
Right. Okay.
Up
There you
until I'll
go.
tell you what, it all started, and I know vividly when my goalkeeping career always started. Like when I was playing under 10s, under 12s, under 14s, and the Letterkenny and District League it was at that time. I was a striker, right winger and a striker. That's where I
Yeah.
played. Um, I was out in O'Donnell Park one day. We were out training, and I think it was under 15s we were training with, and there was a minor match. Pater McGeechan was the minor manager. There was a minor match on after our training session, and Pater came into the dressing room. He says, "Would anybody stand in goals for me?" I
Hmm.
says, "At this match and everything." So of course I stuck up my hand. Surely I'll stand in goals for you. And that's how it all started. I think that year, I think it was that year we got to the county final, county minor final. Ballyshannon beat us, and you know, and that's basically how it started and everything.
Hmm.
I would have played outfield in soccer for a few more years,
Yeah.
up until I was about 18, 19. But playing goals in the Gaelic really
Hmm.
started then and everything,
Yeah.
Like when I got to my leaving cert year in St. Eunan's, I was striker on the soccer team. I was one of the strikers in the soccer team. I was captain of the team, and I was a schoolboy international as a striker.
Right. There you go.
And I was playing in goals for the senior Gaelic team. We got to the McLaren final that year. Got hammered 117 to a point by St. Pat's from Downpatrick, but I got man of the match.
There you go.
You were on that end, like on the wrong end of that sort of scoreline.
Yeah.
You still get man of the match. It wasn't too bad now.
Yeah,
that was my early career and everything, you know.
Yeah. And then, so obviously, you know, at some stage you've came to a fork in the road. I know you would have balanced the two for quite a bit. I'm aware now you mentioned there about going to Sligo and Derry and Harps. When then did the move to playing in goal and soccer happen? And, you know, can you give maybe listeners a timeline then of your soccer career?
Yes, well, as I said, we'll go back to 1990, and everything says that was my leaving cert year and everything in St. Eunan's and all, and I went to the it was the RTC then in Letterkenny. That was 1991, and at that time, you know, I was playing in goals in the Gaelic. I was playing the odd game of goals for Letterkenny Rovers too. You know, because they kind of seen, Tony would do a job for us there or whatever, because I think at that stage, you know, I wasn't too fond of running around out the field.
Right, okay.
I could run a wee bit more, maybe that'd be a better way of putting it. I could have ran a wee bit more out the field and everything. But listen, I just, there was a couple of years there, Sean, I just played, and there could have been 1 week I was in goals and there was 1 week I was out the field or whatever, you know. And do you know what? That variety suited me down to the ground. Really did suit me down to the ground and everything. I think after I had left St. Eunan's and all, and I went to Derry then, I think at that stage, and I went in as a goalkeeper for Derry City. But Derry City's striker, I think it was a fella called Keith Lynch at the time, their centre forward, big bustling centre forward and everything, says he picked up an injury, a long-term injury and everything. And Jimmy McCartney was the manager of Derry City Reserves, and he said to me, he says, would you play out the field for me? Yeah. So I says, aye, all right. I says, okay, I'll play out the field surely, you know, because at that stage, he says, I was at Derry, he says, I would have played anywhere, just, you know, it made no difference to me at that stage. So no, I had a relatively good season. I think it was Ulster Senior League at the time. I scored 14 or 15 goals for them at that stage and everything. And coming near the end of that season, Van Harps had got rid of their manager. Can't remember who it was at the time. And Alec Harkin took over as, you know, for the last 3 or 4 games of the season. Yeah. He took over as temporary manager and all. And Alec was the schoolboys international manager at the time, so I had already played for him. So he said to me, he says, listen, he says, would you like to come down and play? And I jumped at the chance because I wasn't getting a sniff on a Derry City, you know, because they had a really good side at the time, you know. Says Donald O'Brien was playing, he was striker for them at the time, and I think, you know, so, and I wasn't getting a sniff in goals either. So I says, right, I'll go down to Harps for the last 3 games of the season. That was the time when you could transfer mid-season. Yeah. There was no problem. So I went down and I played 3 games out the field for Harps and scored 2 goals. So I have 2 senior goals to me, 2 League of Ireland senior goals to my name and everything. So it was the last game of the season down in Longford. We were down against Longford Town. I played up front with Con at the time. Which was brilliant. Con's fantastic player, brilliant for young players coming through, talk you through a game, and it was just absolutely fantastic. So I'm indebted to him for that. There, he helped me greatly at that stage, you know, for those 3 games and all. Yeah. You know? So, and then like at that stage too, like around the same time in '91, that time too, I was in around the county squad. Yes. Mike Enough had drafted me because I was the under-21 county keeper, and Brian asked me to join the senior ranks, and I was hand in hand at that stage because of my family connections with Derry City and playing with Donegal. I couldn't have kept the two of them going.
Yeah.
And I had to make a choice between one or the other. And because of Derry City and everything, I just says, no, do you know what? I'll give it a go with Derry and everything. And I rang Brian and I said, Brian, thank you very much for the opportunity and all, but I can't do the two of them and the education as well.
Yeah, it's too much.
And I says, I'll stick with Derry and everything. Now, it was to my own detriment. I missed out on an All-Ireland medal then because of it. But, listen, it was one of them things. You know what? Football just throws up certain things, but then later on in my career, then I made up for an All-Ireland as far as I was concerned, you know, with other things that I won later on.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
that's how it all started then.
Yeah, and then, so just enlighten me then, you were with Derry. Now I'm aware at some stage you went to Sligo and you won a treble, if I'm not mistaken. Would it be fair, right in saying that?
I said after after Derry and Harps, I came back to the Rovers for a while, played a wee bit with Letterkenny again, and then I went to Sligo in 93, the summer of 93 and everything. Willie McStay had just taken over from Celtic and all, and I went down. He invited me. He asked me down. He rang me up and he asked me down to train him one night. So I went down one night. I trained one night with him, and he says, "Right, I want you to sign."
Okay.
So I signed for him and everything. Now there was another goalkeeper coming over from Scotland, Mark McLean. Very good keeper, brilliant fella, absolutely brilliant fella. You know, the two of us got on very well. Although we were competing for the one position, the two of us got on so well together. He had spent his younger years at Celtic, and that's where Willie knew him from. So he came over and he was on his first choice, and never really got a sniff of it because he was just so consistent. He was so good and everything. You know, it's as if any football that I got was in the reserves. You know, so as you say, I won the treble. Still got my medals and everything. They were nice. We won the First Division Championship, the FAA Cup, and the First Division Shield. But I also won the Connacht Senior Cup and the Connacht Senior League that year too, for the reserves. So I had a successful season, you know, with five medals.
And then, how long were you at Sligo for?
I was at Sligo it was just over, what did we say, it was about 14 months.
Okay.
Because after we'd won the cup, I had the experience then of being in the European Cup Winners' Cup. We went to Malta.
Right.
With Sligo, so I had, you know what, that was another nice thing to have, you know, that you can always say, oh, I was part of a European Cup Winners' Cup squad, a European squad and everything. So we went out to Malta to play Floriana, and we drew 2-each with them out there, and we beat them 1-0 at home. And then the next round, then we played Bruges from Belgium in the next round and everything. But at that stage, just after the Bruges tie and everything, Oma Town came in for me.
Okay.
And I think they paid £2,000 for me, £2,000 they paid for me. You know, so that was my biggest transfer fee.
Yeah.
I think it was my only one too.
It's not bad. That's as you say.
You know, so no, I went to Oma then because, listen, they says you'll come on as number one and playing in the Premiership and there. Well, there was only one league at the time and there was only one division at the time in the north and everything. But listen, you were going playing Linfield, Glentoran, Crusaders, Cliftonville. You were playing all the big teams, and I said, yeah, that's what I wanted. That's where I was going. You know.
So you went to Oma Town then. I'm not too aware now of your Irish League career. So who you've played Oma Town? Is any other clubs in the Irish League?
No, Oma was the only one. Was the only one that I played for. Roy McCready and Sean Davis were the two managers at the time. So no, I played with them at an absolutely great season. It was the time where they were the following season after the season I was there. They were going to split it into two. There was going to be the Premiership and the First and the Championship. Basically, what it is now. That's what they were doing. So it was kind of already predetermined who was going down, and Oma were going down anyway. They were going to be in the second tier. So the thing about it is it took a lot of pressure off
Yeah.
us. Took a with a young, really young team in there, and everything. Says you had Mickey McGill played left back, Eamon Kavanagh was playing, John Crowley was the captain in the middle of the field, John Quigg was there at the time, a wee bit of experience and everything, Stevie Johnson, with really good team and a really good, kind of blend between experience and young players and everything. And we were under no pressure. We went to Wandsworth
Yeah.
Park and threw one each. One day, against Landfield and
Yeah.
everything. It was absolutely a fantastic day. We beat Glentoran, we beat Portadown, we beat all the big teams, because we were under no pressure.
Yeah.
When you were down, there was no kind of relegation, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
And but that was brilliant, and that's when I was there at Oma. Then I played for the Irish League representatives side against the League of Ireland. Played up
Okay.
in Mornview Park. We drew 0-0 with them one night. So that's where I have an interleague cap there with that.
Yeah.
As I said, played with Northern Ireland that time.
Yeah. There you go. You've both sides.
I have both
Yeah.
sides. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, so
So then, obviously, at some stage, you've made the decision to go and join the county panel and become first choice goalkeeper there. When has that happened in the timeline of your career?
well, I'll tell you what. See, when I finished with Oma in around that was in around '96 or whatever. I went to London. I went to London
Okay,
for a couple of
that's
years.
right. Yeah.
I went over there for a couple of years. I went over to play Gaelic for Chirconnell Gaels, and I was there for 2 years with them. And I played a bit of non-league football over there too at the same time. I played for Romford. I was at the time when I was over there. I was looking for a club and everything, and there were clubs, kind of real junior clubs, looking for me and everything. And I says, no, listen, I wanted to play a wee bit higher standard and
level,
everything.
yeah.
So I had already known after Willie McStay left Sligo, Laurie Sanchez came out as manager, and then Laurie left and went back to Wimbledon.
Yes.
He became assistant manager at Wimbledon under Joe Kinnear at the time. So I rang. Well, there was one day I was sitting in the office at work, and I rang up. I rang the Wimbledon office to see if I could speak to Laurie or if I could get a message to him, get him to give me a call or whatever. So this woman answered the phone and everything, and I explained to her. I says, I used to play with Laurie, everything over in Ireland when he was manager. She's like, oh, she says, hold on, I'll put you straight through to the training ground. So she put me through the training ground, and I says, boy answers the phone. It was Joe Kinnear answered the phone.
Jeez.
He answered the phone. I said,
Oh,
sorry, Joe. I
God.
says, will Laurie be there?
Yeah.
No problem. So I put him on to it, and then Laurie says, yeah. He says, listen, he says, we've had Romford on to us. They're looking for a goalkeeper and everything,
Okay.
because their goalkeeper at the time was Alan McKnight, Northern Ireland International, played with Celtic.
Right.
And Alan would have played with West Ham too, but Alan was on his way down again then at that stage. So they gave me a call, and yeah, definitely. So I signed for them and everything. He says, well, Alan was out injured. And there's a fellow too would played outside left for us, Martin Hayes. He would have played for Arsenal and Celtic as well.
Okay.
In the mid to late 80s. He would have played for them. So I got to play with the two of them. Alan's very nice big fella, very, very nice big fella, and all. He was very helpful too, So that's so I played non-league for Romford and everything. When I was over there, I played with Chirconnell Gaels, as I said, won 2 London championships and 2 British championships. That's the only 2 games I ever lost with Chirconnell Gaels in the 2 years was the 2 All-Ireland quarter-finals. That was that. They were the only 2 games I ever lost with them. And I played under-county with London.
London, yeah.
There, So when that was all happening then, I came home then for Christmas '97. I came home and I was walking down the Port Road, and this window of this car opens beside me, and he says, what are you doing home? And it was Declan Bonner. Declan was
Okay.
manager of the county team at that time.
Yeah.
So after about 5 or 10 minutes, that was me staying. I wasn't going back to London again.
Yeah.
So Declan asked me, he says, would you come in? Would you join the county squad and everything? He says, I will, surely. Not a bother. He says, I need another goalkeeper. So that was how I got back in and we got started again,
Yeah.
just walking down the Port Road in Letterkenny.
Yeah. There you go. Crazy,
Yeah.
It's funny how things work out like that.
That's right.
And then you've went in then, you've had, so that was, what did you say, 97, did you say?
That was Christmas '97. So because I had played in the National League for London
London, yeah.
already, because the National League at that stage was run before Christmas and after Christmas. So I'd already
Yeah.
played for London, so I couldn't play for Donegal then in the National League. I got to play for them in the McKenna Cup. I was alright to play for them in the McKenna Cup because my transfer had gone through to come back to St. Eunan's again. So, no, that, as I said, my transfer came through. I got to play in the McKenna Cup, and it was just training. I was playing soccer as well with the Rovers and everything, so
Okay.
it was grand. I was keeping my foot on, with regard. I think I was playing goals for the Rovers at that stage, and it was just keeping fit, keeping match fit, training with the county squad, and then I was ready then for the championship then in
Yeah.
'98.
Right, okay, so 98. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, then you played your last game for Donegal 2003, would have been? No.
2004, it was a
Four.
league campaign. It was the
Okay.
National League in 2004. I played, it was against Leitrim. Yeah, it was against Leitrim. The National League was my last game and everything because I picked up a knee injury then
Yeah.
at that stage that, although, it was one of these things I had been to a consultant up in the hospital here about it, and he said to me, he says, no, that's it. He says, you're finished. Don't pack in
Yeah.
all, play in any football, club football,
Right.
the whole works and everything. He told me he said to pack that in and everything, but I didn't accept that. I says, no,
Aye.
listen, I says, whatever about playing at the highest level, maybe I could still play, junior, drop down and, play with a club and everything and play a wee bit, maybe a junior soccer and everything. So I went to see Ray Moore in Dublin and Beaumont, and Ray didn't have to look at any scans or any x-rays. Took me in, popped me up on the table, started just kind of doing wee benton exercises with my knee, and he was listening away and everything. And he turned around and said to me, he says, listen, he says, you've got this condition. He named it and everything. I can't remember what the name was, but he says, it's very, very, he says, it's something all goalkeepers get. He
Okay.
says, because it's your standing leg, it's your standing
Yeah.
knee that's taking all the pressure when you're kicking out the ball. He says, especially with Gaelic goalkeepers, very common with them. And he says, there's no treatment for it, but he says, all you can do is just go out, do whatever training you can. You're not doing it any damage. Let it run its course. It'll run its course, kind of flushes out of your system and everything, says, and that you ready to go again then. And
Yeah.
basically 5-6 months later, I was grand again.
Yeah.
And it was the best visit to any consultant that I have ever had.
Yeah.
Was,
Because
going to see him and everything and all, but
Yeah.
that was it. You know what? Because you were taking 6 months out of under county football was just too much. It wasn't. It was just time for me to step aside too.
Yeah.
There's politics and GAA,
Yeah.
and I think my time had come. There was somebody else.
Okay.
There was another keeper ready to step in, and
Yeah.
certain what we say reporters and everything says were pleading a very good case for him.
Okay.
That they're just kind of saying, "Oh, Tony's had his time for this young fella to come in now and all." So that's, do you know what? Football's all about opinions. So
That's
when
it,
was
yeah.
their opinions and everything. So listen, you just take it or whatever. It says that's fair enough. That's grand. I was happy enough to step aside at that time.
Yeah.
Because it was disappointing. There's certain aspects, of my inter-county career were disappointing. Like, as I says, I lost the McKenna Cup final. I lost 2 Ulster finals. We had appointed a fantastic manager at one stage in Mickey Moore. Absolutely brilliant. I thought when he came in, this is it. We're going to win something now with us boy in charge. But, the squad, or the majority of the squad, didn't think like that. It was just, we weren't hungry enough as a squad.
Okay.
There was a minority of us who were hungry. We were row in behind, and we would would get behind the manager and think, right, we're heading in the right direction and all. But nah, it's just there was always just something lacking.
Okay.
You know, as within the squad, the management was brilliant. You know, the coaching, the training, everything was fantastic. But just the squad was just there was just something in there that just wasn't right.
Yeah.
And everything. And you know, although Mickey was a fantastic coach, Mickey probably just wasn't strong enough to weed out what needed to get, who he needed to get rid of, and everything, and all to make that, to bring the whole thing together, and all, you know. So, but listen, that's football. That's what
That's
happens.
football, yeah.
You know?
That's it, yeah. That's it. And, you know, things work out, as I say, things work out the way they're always meant to work out, you know. But, yeah, and that's interesting. And now, listen, I just want to touch upon Gaelic and Gaelic football. You're the first goalkeeper we've had on with that sort of anti-county career, and you're obviously a big follower of Gaelic. Goalkeeping's changed in Gaelic now. I know from my own perspective, I'm happy enough playing in goals in soccer. I found in Gaelic, I found it to be a whole different game. Obviously, you know.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, but people think it's the same thing. It's very, very different, in my opinion. Anyways, I could never make the crossover,
Yes.
successfully. But how do you think goalkeeping in Gaelic? We know it's changed a lot. What do you think of the current sort of lay of the land when it comes to goalkeeping in Gaelic? What's your thoughts on it? Are you happy about it? Are you pro, or again, what's your perspective in that regard?
I don't. You know what? I don't really mind. You know, I think it's great that that the goalkeepers have the confidence to come out. You know, get the ball, come out, take scores, that sort of thing. You know, I think with these new rule changes that are going to come in now, says you're going to see at some stage it says they might do away with the goalkeeper altogether.
Yeah,
Just play 15 outfield players and make it resemble, like the Aussie rules.
Yeah.
You know, I can see that happening. That'll come in as a trial, maybe, in a couple of years' time, where they will take the goalkeeper out of it altogether.
Yeah.
You know, but because I think that's that's the way I think it's going to go because of these changes and these rules. And these experimental rules now that are coming up in the inter-provincials. You know, but you know what? I would never have done it in my time. You know, I know years ago, I'm going back now, maybe 30 odd years ago or whatever. I remember being asked at that stage to come out to take 45s. You know, when I came out and took them surely and put a few over the bar, put a few wide. Done the same with penalties. But no, I don't see any problem. I think what if it gives you an advantage. And your goalkeeper's comfortable on the ball, and your goalkeeper's smart enough to make the right runs, to hold back, make the runs once they see the space opening, and that sort of thing. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
I think it's fantastic.
Now, with these new rule changes, maybe I'm asking a silly question. I can see, I agree 100%. I could see it going this way, where it's just 15 outfield players or someone anyway it's going to be very fluid, I think, certainly. Is that something you'd be pro, or am I asking a stupid question there?
Doing away with the goalkeeper?
Aye.
Do you know what? I think if it's for the good of the game, yes, get rid of it. Get rid of the keeper, sure. If it's going to make the game more exciting and everything, yes. For sure, that's going to open up the game. Yes, do it, surely. Because, they're getting 15 men or 14, 15 men behind the ball and everything, and these blanket defences and all that sort of carry on and everything. It ruined the game for a few years. It really did ruin it for a few years and everything. But, people, on the other hand, then people come in and say, oh, that's terrible, terrible spectacle and everything. Says, the managers and the teams aren't there to entertain the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
They're there to win titles. They're there to win All-Irelands. They're there to win Ulsters and everything. Says, and at that level, you do whatever you have to do to win.
Yeah.
That, you're not paid to go and entertain a crowd. You're not coming on stage to sing songs. You're not coming on stage to tell jokes or anything. You're not there to entertain the crowd.
Yeah.
You're there to win football matches, and you do it by whatever means.
Absolutely. Like, and I've always been of the opinion there's nothing more entertaining than winning football games, you
Exactly.
know. And
Exactly.
those days out, if you win in All Ireland by stinking the place out, and you
Yes.
know, people are still going to celebrate
They
regardless,
are.
you
That's
know,
for sure.
you know,
That's for sure. They'll not worry too much about it. They'll not worry
yeah,
too much about it. Exactly. Exactly. But they just feel as if, oh, that I've paid me money to get in here. I need to be entertained and everything. He says, well, no.
it's just
You
not
want
how
to
it
pay your money.
works.
You want to pay your money into Croke Park to be entertained. This is go to a concert.
Yeah. Oh, you're 100%
You
right.
know?
You're 100% right, Tony. That's a great way of putting it. Like,
You know,
yeah,
that's just because you've got to people have got to realize and supporters have got to realize the level that those boys are at, that
yeah,
inter-county players are at, and what's at stake. You know,
yeah,
because like as I says, I didn't win anything with Donegal in my time.
yeah.
I won the Railway Cup. I played with Ulster in 2000, and I won the Railway Cup with them, which was which was a fantastic thing for me too. It was a great honour and everything, to represent your province and everything, and then to win it too was absolutely fantastic. But they have to realise it's won at all costs.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the nature of sport,
Exactly.
especially at that level.
Mm.
I suppose I touched upon it myself there. I really struggled with the crossover from soccer to Gaelic. I remember playing a game in London there actually just a couple of months ago for North London Shamrocks, and I just found it completely out of my depth, was the way to put it. I was playing in goal, and it'd been a few years since I'd played Gaelic in goal. The game had changed in terms of kickouts. It was, if you weren't on the money with a kick
That's
in,
right. Yeah.
forget about it. And I struggled, as I say, to make that crossover. I think now, I think not for love nor money would I play in goal in Gaelic
Right.
again. Whatever about outfield now, but definitely not in goal. What was your opinion on that? What did you prefer? Did you prefer playing in Gaelic in goal or soccer in goal? And what did you find the differences to be?
Um, I always found. I'll start off. It says I always found it easier going from soccer to Gaelic,
Hmm.
but then coming back to soccer from the Gaelic. Say during the
Okay.
summer. Say you
Yeah.
finished your season in April, May. You finished your soccer season and everything. It was easy enough going then that way, but then coming back again then was a wee bit difficult. It took you a couple more weeks, to get back into the swing of things or
Hmm.
whatever. Um, I probably, do you know what? I probably preferred to play in soccer more because I always thought you were involved a wee bit more,
Right.
you
Yes.
know, because, and the thing about it too is you were the only ones allowed to use your hands in the
Mm.
soccer. Balls coming into the box, you had a distinct advantage, totally different in Gaelic. High ball coming onto the square, it's a free for all, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody can use their hands. You don't have an advantage when you come out. So no, I probably preferred the soccer, playing on goals in the soccer a wee bit more
Yeah.
than the Gaelic. Just
Yeah.
because I found it that wee bit easier. It was that
Yeah.
wee bit easier and everything. I thought the everybody had been able to use their hands in the Gaelic was a good equalizer for everybody.
Hmm.
And anything can happen once there's a high ball coming on. Anything can
Oh yeah.
happen. You know.
Yeah. And I think, and tell me what you think about this. I always find that the angle of the shot, you're obviously taking essentially, a volley in Gaelic.
Mm.
I always find the angles that the shots were coming in a lot more difficult in Gaelic than in soccer. But listen, because that's my primary background is soccer. But I
Mm.
always find the angle that the ball was coming in was it was different in terms of judging it and stuff. I don't know, was that something you found yourself, or was it just because you had played a lot more Gaelic, maybe it wasn't as big an issue for yourself?
No, I didn't. I didn't think. I just one thing I did notice is when in Gaelic, when the strikers or the forwards had the ball in their hands, it could literally go anywhere. You know, in soccer, when the ball's on the ground and they're coming at you, you can kind of influence
Yes.
the forward where to put it. You know, leave a wee gap for them and says that's where he's going to put it, and then you'll be able to spring on it. Can't do that in Gaelic. They're coming through you in Gaelic and the ball in their hands and they're soloing away. That thing can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was the thing about it. It can go high up into the roof of the net. It can hit one. It can bounce in front of you. You know, it can put it low along the ground and everything. Can do everything. It's just it's a lot easier in soccer, you know, to influence the forward. This is where you know where you want him to put the ball.
Yeah.
You know, but I totally agree with what you're saying. Once they're coming in, just the ball can go anywhere. Really can go anywhere. Once it's in their hands and they're swinging their boot out, you know, all you can do is come out and make yourself as big as possible.
Yeah.
You know, and hope it hits something.
Yeah. Well, so it's like, no, I definitely find that certainly to be a big challenge. But listen, I know I've kept you long enough, but I really, really appreciate you coming on, as I say, and I think this has been really beneficial for listeners, and you know, you've give some really good insight and wisdom, but also I've learned quite a bit about you there, which has been useful. Why don't we? I've done this in the last couple of episodes. About a Mount Rushmore of goalkeeping. So, who's maybe 5 goalkeepers from your own perspective maybe influenced you in the junior game and the senior game in Gaelic and soccer? Who's sort of 4 or 5 that really stand out to you as you know playing a role in your career or influencing you?
Right. Well, I would have to start with somebody who I just thought was the best in the world at the time, and that was Peter Schmeichel. I just thought he had the physique, he had the agility, he had everything. He really did have everything, you know, and I thought he was the one who, you know, kind of influenced me and who I wanted to be like, you know. I would have to think, because of my last year with Donegal and everything, and how happy I was, Gary Walsh. I think Gary was a fantastic coach and everything. Great fella, very good goalkeeper too. Really good goalkeeper, you know. Let me see now. I've worked with some really, really good goalkeepers down through the years and everything, and you know, I would have to think for their attitude and training, and you know, and at the age they are now at the minute, you know. Well, there's 2 of them really.
You're not going to name drop me, are you, Tony? There.
Sean, I was leaving it to the last one. No, there's 2 I've worked with recently.
Yeah.
And everything, and one is Paddy McGarvey.
Okay. Yeah.
Paddy's potential, absolutely fantastic. Picked up a knee injury there just at the wrong time when he was just he was just growing onto himself, you know, as a goalkeeper and everything. You know, as I says, I've had him over the past couple of years, and he's at one end of the spectrum and everything, and the other one then is Shane O'Gara.
Okay, yeah.
Fairview last year and everything, and I have him now. Shane's come and joined us at the Rovers and everything. Shane's attitude, and at the age he is, his attitude and training, and his eagerness still to learn. Yeah. You know, man's 32, 33 the minute, and he still wants to learn. Still wants to do that wee bit extra and everything, you know, and it's just his attitude and everything. So I would have the 2 of them and one more now. God save us.
I'm going to interrupt you there, Tony. Now,
yes.
We'll give a mention just to Paddy. He's back playing with KG, which is fantastic to see, and I know for a fact he's someone that's going to be playing in the senior game, you know, in the not too distant future. Now, I just wanted to touch on Shane O'Gara there, and he's probably someone I think would be a good guest to have on in the future.
Yes.
Now, I, Sh- Shane's an interesting one in the sense he came into, like, I don't know too much about him, but I know I followed Derek and I know he came in and he's a Donegal man himself. He came into the senior game quite late. Would I be right in saying that, or
He did.
what?
He did. Surely, yes, 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 yes. Shane had a few injuries and everything, and
Okay,
and he got himself into fantastic shape, and
yeah,
played with Kiju and everything. And he he came back and do you know what? He rang me one day and he says, "Could he come in and do pre-season training, or could I get him somewhere to do pre-season?" I
right,
says, "No, I won't get you anywhere." I says, "You're going to come in
yeah.
with me."
There you go.
And he came in and he worked really hard and he bided his time and he got his chance.
Yeah,
And over the past couple of years, what Dairdview, Dairdview have been very, very lucky that they had Patrick McGarvey.
yeah,
Patrick got injured. Shane came on then. They've had two fantastic. The goalkeeping department never let them down. Over the past couple of years, I can safely say that because the two boys were absolutely fantastic. But no, Shane came on late because he actually said to me, he says, "I want one more crack at it, one more crack at
yeah,
senior football." And when somebody asks you to help them out, and their attitude and their attributes, you kind of think, "Oh, I'll help you. Definitely, I'll help you. Surely, I'll get you that chance."
yeah,
And he was absolutely fantastic last season. Things didn't work out. There was a change in management a few times at Derryview, and the thing was a wee bit of a mess up there and all. And Shane went to Ballinamallard then,
that's right.
and he just wasn't getting a chance in there. Just wasn't getting a chance and all. So I said, I gave him the opportunity. I said, "Listen," says, "you want to come back, play football, kind of reset." I'm always a big believer in that. If you think that your career has stalled a wee bit,
Yes,
that you stop, drop down a level where you're going to be playing, and hit the reset button
yeah,
and build up a
go
wee bit,
again.
wee bit of progression again and a wee bit of momentum.
Yeah,
I'm a firm believer of that there because, listen, it says only a couple of months, like a couple of months time now, like in January again, the senior club could come back in for Shane again
yeah,
very, very easily.
yeah,
Senior club could come in for Paddy too.
yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
sure they will. I'm sure there'll be senior clubs looking for them now in January, the
Yeah.
transfer window. You know,
Absolutely, yeah. No, listen, I think if Shane is listening, I think it's a fantastic story from looking from the outside. I followed it quite a bit, so he's maybe someone I'll try and get on in the future if he is listening.
definitely.
Yeah, so listen, that leaves us into our last one, who's maybe someone else then. You could mention maybe someone else you've worked
Well,
with
do you know
for.
what, Sean? I'm going to mention you.
Yeah,
Yes. No, I'm
too
going to
kind.
mention you because I always firmly remember, you know, the year the Rovers got to the Intermediate Cup final.
That's right, yeah.
Rory was playing, you know, and it was mid-May, wasn't it? It was about mid-May. And
Yeah,
we were all
but
staying up in Dublin and
that's
everything,
right.
and you had been at training and you had come in and you'd done your bit as a backup goalkeeper and everything. And that night of that cup final, and you were sitting up in the room studying for your leaving
That's
cert.
right, yeah.
I
That's
remember
right.
that. I remember that you were sitting up
Yeah,
in the
we
room,
were
and I kind
together.
of thought to myself, well, listen, there is a young fellow with the right attitude, wants his sport and everything, he says, but knows that there's more important things, ahead. Football will always be there, being everything.
Yeah.
But you had, listen, as you said, Sean, he says, what was it, 15 when you played for the first team?
First team, yeah,
Yeah,
15.
15 and everything. He says, listen, absolutely fantastic at that age.
Yeah.
Really is. And do you know what? Great potential at that stage. I knew it because as I said, didn't you won the Foil Cup? Didn't you win the Foil Cup with Kildrum?
We won a Kildrum. I was about
Yeah,
18, 19. We beat
yeah.
Norwich in the final.
Yes, Dad. Yes,
A
Dad.
certain,
Surely you were absolutely. I remember following that at the time and thought you were brilliant. And whatever happened to you then, I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Did you find drink, alcohol, and women or something like that?
No, unfortunately, still, two things, Tony. I'm teetotal and I'm
Yes.
single, so I can't play in those
Well, we
two
can't blame them
vices.
two things. And well, listen,
Uh,
as at this stage, then it's time for you to make. It's never too late.
no, well, listen, I think I was in England for 6 years. I've just moved home, um, trying to get my feet back into the Donegal league. As you say, I've went back to my hometown club, hit that reset.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it goes. I had a bad injury there. I did my ACL about 18 months ago, give
Yeah.
or take. And just I suppose for myself now, it's just about still young, still 26,
Exactly.
getting back playing and take it from there and see where it takes me, you
Well,
know.
that's it, John. Because listen, goalkeepers can play for as long as you want. I played the Donegal League till I was 42. I
Yeah,
played my last game in the Donegal League when I was 42. I played with Lagan Harps at the time. So, listen,
yeah,
there's
there you go.
loads of time left yet, you
Well,
know,
that's it, yeah. So, no,
so
listen,
it's a matter of getting yourself, just get yourself, get yourself fit, get the interest back in again, and
yeah,
just plow on and progress. And listen, you never know where it might end up.
that's it,
That's the thing.
yeah,
You could take a step up. You might play intermediate football in the north or something like that. There, somebody will come looking for you.
we'll
You
see,
just don't know. That's the thing.
exactly.
You don't know what's around the corner. You just
No,
don't know
you
what's
don't.
around the corner.
And football's a funny game, as we've said.
It is. It's a
It's a
funny old
very
game, as
funny
Greasy used
game.
to say.
Yeah. So, but no, listen. I think for myself, just got the bit between the teeth now, which is the
Good.
most important thing. And just as long as you're enjoying it, and the rest will take care of itself.
That's the most important thing. That's the most important thing. Is just as long as you enjoy it and everything. He says, but just go out. And for goalkeepers, it says the most important thing for a goalkeeper is have confidence in your own ability.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
Yeah,
just it. Don't be arrogant. Don't be swanning around the place and all that there off the field. Just be your normal self off the pitch. But once you cross that line, you be confident. Have confidence in your own ability. And just say no. Go out thinking I'm the best keeper in the world.
yeah,
That's what you have to go out with that mindset. You have to go with
yeah,
that mindset. And whatever happens, happens. You make an error, learn from it, move on straight away. Use the 10-second rule. If something happens, analyze it straight away. Should have done that better. Won't happen again. End of story. That's it.
yeah.
Forget about it.
There we go. I think on that note, Tony, that's some good final advice for anyone listening out there. So, listen, really appreciate it. I think that was a really good conversation, and I'm sure we'll get you back on in the future as well.
Not a problem, Sean. Thank you so much
All
for
right.
asking. I was delighted to be asked. Thank you very, very much.
Perfect, Tony. All right. We'll leave
Lovely
it
stuff.
there. All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one. All right.
You
Bye
too.
now.
All
Bye.
right. Bye bye.
Bye.